Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Nuance Needed podcast. I'm Amanda.
And it's Sam.
And we're sort of doing this last minute emergency ish episode because it is Thursday, April 3rd. And the stock market crashed today. And social media is crashing out today.
Yep.
And I'm crashing out today. And I felt like maybe it would be helpful if I shared and Sam shared how we're dealing with this, and Sam gave us a bit of a pep talk, or me a bit of a pep talk.
I did receive a text in the middle of my session that popped up on my Mac that was like, "Hey, do you know what would be so cool if we recorded on today?" It's like, let's go, baby.
My personal puller out, my personal coach.
Yeah,
you are
a coach. Coaching coaches. Well, why don't you? What if we start with this? Why don't you tell me like what are your crash out thoughts?
I mean, I go back and forth a lot. I know, Sam, we've talked about how, you get frustrated when people online are like, pack your bags, get out.
Yeah.
But I am not like, I listen to those, and sometimes like my biggest fear, I think I was telling you this like last week when we went to dinner, is my biggest fear is that something is going to happen that I'm not informed enough about to take action. And I should be packing my bags. But I guess I also have to be realistic that I'm not going to pack my bags.
Right.
So maybe I shouldn't be watching those videos about how to prepare if I'm not going to actually prepare beyond making sure I have a passport and stuff like that.
I think my biggest question with that is like, okay, so where are 350 million people going to go?
Yeah.
Where are we all going to go? We're all going to go to Canada? They don't like us.
We're not going to be accepted anywhere.
No, we're not going to be accepted. Mexico? What? You're going to go to Europe? I find that argument to be so insanely privileged to be spouting information that's like, you need to flee.
Yeah.
Like, that is such an unhinged level of anxiety to be spouting to people, the majority of whom will not have the ability, the resources, the capacity, the like financial means to uproot their entire life. Well, not only just that, before that, you have to go through the entire process to figure out where you're going to move to. Okay. You have to then reach out to the government of that country, wherever you're going to go, and request paperwork. You can't just ask for a visa if you're going to move.
Yeah.
You have to be like, okay, you claiming asylum? Are you going to be an expat? Are you going to get a job with an American company in a foreign country? Like, even just like the initial planning, the majority of people are running up against barriers that just aren't possible. The majority of people cannot even afford the international plane ticket.
Right.
Like, I just think it's so unfair for us to be spouting off to people like, you have to leave now, you have to get out, you have to flee. Like, if you have the ability to do that and you feel that that is the best choice for you, I'm proud of you. More power to you. I myself have sat down and figured out, like, I am a Canadian citizen. I do, in fact, have dual citizenship. Do I want to go to Canada?
Very smartly secured
last
year.
I secured it last year, and I'm like, so like, I'll own that part of my privilege, but also I would never broadcast that on my socials telling people, well, because I have dual citizenship and I now have like a shoe into another country, you need to figure out how to leave. Like, it's just not realistic or fair. And I think so much of that is just anxious floods of catastrophizing. And not to mention, I hate to break it to people, but the rest of the world is having the same types of problems we are. It's just different because Donald Trump is really freaking loud.
Yeah.
Like, Canada, they are having their own resurgence of a far-right group that is very much into Donald Trump's thinking and way of being. The prime minister that just won is not a part of that. He's more center left. But the far right individual, his name was Pierre Poilievre, he was slated to win.
Mhm.
Trump actually gave him the disadvantage because there were a lot of Canadians that saw the level of chaos that happened following January 20th and decided to switch to the moderate party. I can't remember the new PM's name, but you can Google it. But yeah, so, England is now having so much economic stagnancy, they are no longer considered a wealthy nation. Like, they have had 15 years of flat wage growth. Like, there has been no wage growth. The average salary is like £35,000 or something like that. Nobody can afford to live. France is reckoning with its far right. Germany's reckoning with a far right. Mexico has a fantastic president. They are still swarming in gang and drug violence. Like, I just think, yes, in a lot of ways, those other countries are not as politically chaotic as we are now. But I think there is kind of this myth that everything is fine everywhere else except for here. And that's just not true. Because the other thing that's incredibly frustrating, I think, today for me about these tariffs is actually the last 4 years, the United States economy alone was propping up the global economy. The way Biden approached his response to the COVID economic fallout, which everybody coined Bidenomics, was working.
Yeah.
We had the lowest rates of inflation. We had the highest GDP. We were growing. We were getting out of it, but nobody wanted to sit in that space because inflation was still real.
Yeah.
But nobody was willing to have the perspective that our inflation was the lowest across the board globally.
Yep.
And Trump, in his spineless, obsessive need to destroy things that people he doesn't like build, right? He has to destroy this because Biden did it. He is now putting all of that at risk. And so I feel insanely frustrated because we were in a really good position, actually, up until...
I feel the same.
Yeah.
I feel the same. We literally had done a soft landing. We had done a bunch of things that people didn't think were possible. It felt like we were just starting to fully get out of it. And the insanity of purposely tanking the economy has been driving me insane, where I just Google over and over again, why would someone do this? And that's where you can find very strong takes of people who are like, this is what authoritarians do to help other, to help people, his friends build wealth and stuff like that. And the only thing that has slightly grounded me was I read an article in The Atlantic that was and I think this has sort of been a sentiment of the worse this stuff is, hopefully that will create breaking of party lines and some movement. But it is still, so anger-inducing that we're purposely doing this, and people are going to suffer as a result of this, especially, disproportionately. People who are going to suffer from groceries and rent prices and
Day-to-day
all
living.
of these. Yeah. And it's all for what? For looking like the big, strong country, looking like you are going to fix something, like what you said, Sam, not wanting what the other administration's approach was. I don't know.
Yeah. I was having this conversation with my dad because my dad was like, he's like, I'm genuinely sitting here trying to think of what the strategy is. And I was like, look, and
I asked ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I was like,
what is the point?
What is the point? I was like, find me an economist who believes in this. And it was 2% is it that could believe in this. And one of them is a crazy person who was in Trump's administration, who has no world economic experience.
No. Everybody thinks this is a bad idea. And the thing I said to my dad, and I think this is about Trump at large, and I think this is just Trump's priority. The only way Trump knows how to do anything is to smash things. He did the same things in his business. It's the same way he approaches it. He's like, well, if I smash it and it doesn't come back up, it doesn't deserve to come back up.
Ugh, God.
And so He is a toxic mess of a human being who is so ignorant and arrogant, all wrapped up into one. And there is no larger. I think people are giving him so much credit that he is just this brilliant, like tactician that has all of this played out. No, the problem is he's so stupid. The really smart people around him are able to take advantage of these things. And
Mhm.
so really wealthy individuals are absolutely going to take advantage of this because they have very smart accounting teams that are managing their wealth funds and are going to know what to invest in and what's going to rebound and this, that, and the other thing. It's not this like sinister, like world ending, like, oh my God. It's just like it's economics 101.
Mhm.
People with enough resources to invest in, you know, stocks at low prices are the ones that will absolutely gain in 3 to 5 years when the stock market starts to recoup and rebound because a Democrat is going to come back in and fix it all over again.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to stop giving him so much credit and continue to just do the fighting because the fighting's working.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
fighting is working. Wisconsin, the three races that just happened on Tuesday are massive warning signs for Republicans at large, and they should be very scared
Mhm.
because the in Wisconsin, the Supreme Court justice, the state Supreme Court justice that was elected, she won by 10 percentage points
Mhm.
in a state that went for Trump
Mhm.
4 months ago.
Mhm.
That is a big deal.
Mhm.
In Florida, even though Republicans won both seats, both districts, Trump won by 30 plus points. He barely eked by with 15% of a win,
Mhm.
which
Does
to
that
have,
translate to 15 plus points?
yeah, 15.
Okay.
Yeah, 15 points. Sorry.
Like the points and the
Sorry.
percentage.
My bad.
No worries.
That was my bad. Yeah. So, like, things are moving.
Mhm.
Like, Cory Booker, his
Yes. I mean
25
that, thank
hour,
God this week. That was the one.
that was huge.
Mhm.
And that made a lot of moves. And also, Republicans joined together with Democrats in the House and they stalled a voting measure that would have allowed or would have like forbidden proxy voting. So
Yeah.
basically, like it would have allowed people to not, or like if you're not there, you can't vote
Yeah.
kind of thing, which
Yeah.
can be used to be very manipulative. And a bunch of Republicans went together, Democrats, and said, no, like
Mhm.
this is for new parents. This is for people who are caregivers. Like, because members of the House are totally different. Like, they don't have the same level of privileges that a senator has.
Mhm.
House members are very often like just average people that ran.
Yeah.
And so they all have like lives
Right.
where senators tend to be more business owners, entrepreneurial attorneys from big law firms, right? Like you tend to need to have like pretty deep pockets and
Mhm.
social connections to end up running for Senate.
Yeah.
Um, but regardless, like also in the Senate, what happened was with these tariffs, four Republican senators came together and voted no
Mhm.
for the tariff bill to overturn tariffs. Like, I know that there's probably a lot of you listening to this and being like, that's stupid. That means nothing. That didn't stop it. Well, this is what this slow moving resistance coalition looks like.
We need a couple dominoes to fall
Yes.
and then bigger ones can fall.
Yes. You need, like, because now all of this stuff that happened in the last week, as shitty as it was, there was a lot of really good stuff happen that put a lot of wind in people's sails to see that, okay, maybe not all is lost.
Mhm.
Right. And I know it's like particularly devastating saying that if you are one of the 10,000,
Yeah.
Health and Human Services employees that got laid off this week. It's nauseating everything that's happening. And the story that I wanted to tell personally of how I kind of
Yeah.
like clawed myself out of this was
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I was on Instagram and I saw this really well done carousel. I wonder if I saved it. I'm gonna have to go look. And it just laid out everything that had happened to the National Park Service and all the ways that it had been cut off at the kneecaps and everything that happened. And it had like the saddest instrumental music I'd ever heard in my life, like put over it. And I just like, I had a complete meltdown.
Mhm.
Like, I had a complete meltdown. It's like, that was the thing that out of everything, just I was like, like, this is what you're mad at? You're
Mhm.
mad that we have national fucking parks?
Yep.
You're mad that it brings you $55 billion a year in revenue, even though it costs you $8 billion? Like, why? And I found myself like on the couch. I would have looked like I was just like staring straight up at the ceiling, like traveling through space and time in my mind. But like, it was just like this domino effect in my head of thinking of like everything and what the long-term ramifications of all this are going to be. And I felt so hopeless, and I felt
Mhm.
so like flustered and terrified and overwhelmed. And it had been a long time since I had gone there. And so I literally like got in my shower and I like sat on the floor of my shower, and I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I don't know how to do this. Like, how do we live like this? Like, I just don't understand it. And I let myself freak out, and I just kind of sat there for a little bit, and I was probably in there for like 15, 20 minutes. And then when I got out, I decided that I needed to do a couple things, and one of which was I was really going to hold myself accountable for the political content that I consumed. And I realized that I had been really bad with those boundaries,
Mhm.
and I hadn't been really paying attention to sources. I had been paying attention to people's interpretation of events
Mhm.
and people's opinions, and that was really overwhelming me and flooding me. And so I like made a promise to myself that I was really going to make an intentional effort with what I engaged with on my FYPs.
Mhm.
And the other thing I said to myself was, I refuse to believe that the American people will back down.
Mhm.
We just don't. It's just
Mhm.
not who we are. And I think seeing the anger that people have had, and seeing the fight that people have had, and the way people in Wisconsin showed up, and the way I saw people in Florida showing up,
Mhm.
and the conversations around things, and I think the natural ebb and flow to politics,
Mhm.
and the understanding that Trump is ruling through executive order
Mhm.
because he knows nothing would pass in Congress.
Mhm.
And it's sad and it's scary and it's terrifying to have someone who has betrayed what this country stands for so much. But I don't necessarily put all of my faith in the institution. I put my faith in the people.
Mhm.
And I think the people are starting to show themselves, and I am choosing to put my focus in that.
Mhm.
And I also just think in some ways we were due for some change.
Mhm.
I think we weren't focusing on good policy in this country, even when Democrats were in charge.
Mhm.
I don't think we were fighting for the right things. I don't think either end of the spectrum was really protecting anything. And so we've had this conversation very recently on this podcast of this kind of idea of the universe. And
Mhm.
I think things sometimes need to happen to shake people up,
Mhm.
to realize that nothing is guaranteed. None of our rights are guaranteed. We have to continue fighting for them and protecting them and advocating for them. And my hope is that as I see more and more people running for office at the local level, more people are running for, to challenge firmly held red seats.
Mhm.
People are taking action, and I think we will have people in come 2026 who will know the policies that like people actually want.
Mhm.
And I think we will be able to rebuild. And I hate that we have to use the word rebuild. I hate that.
Mhm.
Because none of this was really that broken. It just needed to be tweaked and funded differently and taken care of differently. Um, but I just have to believe that like the American story isn't done,
Mhm.
and state governments are still standing. Like, the judiciary is doing its job no matter how much like pushback it's getting. And, I think our job as people is to just keep showing up
Yeah.
and to keep fighting. And Laurel Lee and Rick Scott will not know peace on their Instagrams while I am alive. They will not know it. Like every single one. I'm there.
Mhm.
And I'm calling and I'm letting them know. And I called Cory Booker's office and I let him know how
Yes.
proud I was of him. And that is what I can do.
All of the lines were totally, or the inboxes were
Yeah.
totally full by the time I called.
Yeah. And so I think, and seeing the response to that, seeing how many people were impressed by that and moved by that, I think, I don't know what the end is. I don't know what this looks like. I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Mhm.
But I have to believe that there is a way through and that this is just, it's not the end.
Mhm.
And I think what's so frustrating is someone like Donald wants you to feel that way because he literally thrives off of feeling like he is in control.
Mhm.
And by the way, today he is at the Trump Doral golf course in Miami.
Yeah.
Playing golf.
Yeah.
On taxpayer dime. Day after blowing up the economy.
Yeah.
That's where he is. So if that tells you, like, this is not a man that's taking advantage of a moment to do something either good or bad.
Mhm.
He just did something and now he's gone.
Mhm.
Not giving a flying fuck.
Yeah.
Through the weekend. And I refuse to let a man like that dictate to me how I live my life. I refuse to give him the satisfaction that he lives rent-free in my brain, making me afraid. And I've really clung to that. And it's still touch and go. And these are really, really hard, challenging times. And I'm not trying to like spout this, kind of like Pollyanna view that like, oh my God, well, everything's always fine because it's going to be fine. Like, it's not that. But I think the overall picture for me is that I believe we can find a way through it. And I think, there's a lot of people that are like, I believe the elections are rigged. Well, if the elections were rigged, Republicans would have won Wisconsin. So if you've had any doubts in the electoral system or how those work, look at Wisconsin. Because that is proof that people have not laid down and died. So I don't know if that.
Yeah. I think it's been so much, and right, like a purposely, so much. I was very inspired this week by Cory Booker. Like, thank God that happened this week.
Oh my God.
I think it is just so hard to not feel like to find the balance of being too informed, not being informed enough, which I know we talk about a lot.
Right.
But yeah, I think like the answer that I've been trying to come to is if I am so informed that I don't do anything.
Yeah. That's paralysis.
Then it's not good.
Yeah.
Even if I am missing something. I mean, you're so good, Sam, at like zooming out. And I think it is like the history perspective that you have and stuff like that.
Also, I've been seeing something with the tariff thing as people are saying the tariffs were not, because there were a huge round of tariffs that Herbert Hoover enacted in 1930. And people are saying that caused the Depression. That's not true.
Yes, that's what I've seen.
That's not true.
Okay.
The Depression started in 1929. Herbert Hoover tried to enact the tariffs like an idiot, thinking that was going to help.
Yeah.
And it made things worse.
Yeah.
So I say that to share, like, I think we're absolutely now, if he doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Right. If in the next couple of days or by next week, there's no sort of negotiation, right? And he just leaves these, I think we're in trouble in terms of like a recession. I think we will see a recession of some kind. But also, I live by the 36-hour rule with Donald Trump.
What is that rule?
So that says anytime you hear an announcement, you give it 36 hours. Because chances are something is going to change in that 36 hours.
Is this specific to Trump, or is this a general rule?
I've heard, I saw someone talk about it around the time of the election.
Okay.
After it was like after he had won, and we were all like wanting to crawl into a hole and die.
Yeah.
And they said what the strategy that they used in his first term was the 36-hour rule. And so it was like the minute you hear something is announced, you don't lose your mind for 36 hours because there's a really strong
We're on
chance.
24 right now.
We're on 24. But there's a really strong chance that something will change. He'll change his mind. Something will be rescinded. And that's what's happened with, like, that's what happened with the other tariffs for the longest time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I also think that man hates to see that the economy is tanking because it's the only thing that he runs on.
I thought so, but I didn't think he would do that. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. But that 36-hour rule has helped, especially once we got out of like those first 2-3 weeks of just like chaotic insanity of all of the executive orders. I think now that's helped me a little bit to like pace myself and to sometimes say like, okay, this happened. I can't freaking control it other than maybe sitting down with my finances and, you know, making sure I'm budgeting, I'm on top of everything, and then I'll wait.
Yeah.
And it sucks because we're all in an abusive relationship right now. That's really like what this dynamic is. We're in an abusive relationship with the White House, but what do you do?
Are there any things that like can, in terms of like, right, you were saying governing through executive orders, is there a limit to that? Is there something Congress can start doing to push back on that?
Well, so technically, this is where it's going to start to get dicey.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, if you're
Seems
listening,
like there should be a limit to the amount of executive orders you can.
So, yes, and Congress is supposed to approve tariffs.
Okay.
So that is why this like whole concept of the constitutional crisis is coming into play.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of things that he is like demanding with these executive orders that are meant to go through Congress, and he's not, and Congress isn't pushing back. So that's why it's not that the government is like actively collapsing. It's that the government is in distress right now.
They're doing like nothing.
Because they're just doing nothing.
Yeah.
Congress still has all the power they want. Like they could have this man out of office tomorrow if they really wanted to, but everybody is still afraid of him. Yeah. And so I think, you know, like if you're listening to this, put pressure on your reps, put pressure on them. You know, look at what was the margin in your reps election back in November? Was it really thin? They're stressed then, and they need to hear from you. Like whether they're red or they're blue, like they need to hear if your district had a razor thin margin, you need to put pressure on them because that's how they know what they need to be fighting for and what they need to highlight. Because if they don't, they have literally said in interviews, nobody's called my office. So in their mind, and not saying like, obviously their phones are lighting up right now, but in the past, I've heard representatives and senators say, nobody's calling my office. So I don't think this is a problem for the American people. So make sure you're calling, let them know how angry you are, how upset you are. Do not stop doing that. Like keep that up. And you know, I think those votes from those senators, that was really symbolic around the tariffs. I know there's a lot of reps expressing a lot of like Republican reps expressing a lot of concern over these tariffs because they know it's going to like decimate their districts. So really it's technically what the president is supposed to do with the tariff is they bring the tariff to Congress. And Congress are the ones that are supposed to debate it and approve it and then decide if they are going to enact it. So it's pretty problematic that he's just stood in the Rose Garden and said, here's our tariffs, which, by the way, they use ChatGPT to calculate.
How do you know that? It was released? Oh, my God. How did they use ChatGPT to calculate it?
So basically what they did is they looked at, because you know they had like the two rows of like percentages. So apparently they released like the calculation that they used to tabulate each number with the assistance of ChatGPT, where they said the number that was under like the country's tariff on the US was basically saying like I can't even remember like the specific wording, but essentially it was like how much that country specifically benefits from trade with the United States. Like basically what we lose, I think, in trade with them that they benefit from.
Okay.
It's a bizarre like statistic. And then the other column was what we are now imposing as a tariff on them.
All right. So we have calling our reps. I love the 5 Calls app. The other thing I did this week, let me see if I can find the name of the app that I found that I enjoy.
Oh, yeah. I saw you posted it to your stories.
It's called Goods Unite Us. And it is a helpful app where you can look up what companies and brands donate in what way. So, yeah, unfortunately, Publix.
Okay. I have a bone to pick with this state.
So I'm going to be going to Trader Joe's and Fresh Market because I also can't go to Whole Foods. I don't know if there are any other grocery stores around here. I don't think so. Publix has a
monopoly. You guys, there's no grocery stores.
It's true.
None.
That was helpful. Is there anything else, Sam, that you're doing? Curating your feed or?
Because I don't know where the future is going.
There's a protest happening this weekend.
There's protests happening this weekend. I still want to live my life as if the future is somehow bright. Even if right now it feels really dark and it's uncertain. There is absolutely nothing that lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever, good or bad. And so for me, I want to live my life in a way and make decisions in a way that comes from a place of hope and possibility rather than just laying down and giving up. Because I would rather go down fighting with a man like this.
Well, we hope you all got something out of this.
Yeah.
This is pretty like last minute and casual and thrown together.
Yeah. But we do it for you.
Yeah, we hope that this was helpful in a small way. And join us on Substack if you like this, because this is literally Sam's thing on Substack. She does pep talks and history corner talks where, you know, she literally peps us up and tells us this stuff. We hope you all got stuff out of it. Please join us on Substack. It's so great over there. We love hearing from you. We love hearing what you think about the episodes. Essentially, we do an episode behind the scenes guide with more information, charts, sometimes graphics to go along with the episode. And then we also do another bonus, whether it's a piece of content, whether it's a video of Sam's. So you will hear from us twice a week if you're over there. And we appreciate your support so much.
So much.
And as always, we are an independent podcast. So
we're out here doing the Lord's work. So if you could rate, review, subscribe, share, anything that you can do to bolster us and get the word out, that is what we need right now more than anything. So
thank you so much.
Yep.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks.